HBO comic John Oliver had many journalists laughing until they cried when he took a satirical look at the health of the news industry in his show Sunday Night. Even though his humor was dead on, some in the newspaper industry didn't crack a smile.
Papers have been closing and downsizing for years, and that affects all of us.
With a satirical scalpel, John Oliver dissected what's wrong in the news industry and why many freeloading consumers are to blame.
And I'm talking to you, the person watching this segment on YouTube, using the Wi-Fi from the coffee shop underneath your apartment. You're killing us!
Most importantly, line by line, the British comic outlined why the consequences of losing a vibrant Fourth Estate are so dire.
According to the San Francisco Chronicle,
according to the Times-Picayune,
the Boston Globe.
It's pretty obvious. Without newspapers around to cite, TV news would just be Wolf Blitzer endlessly batting a ball of yarn around.
Another thing that could be lost, all those great movies based on great journalism, like Spotlight, spoofed here as Stoplight.
It's political corruption in Boston.
We'll come back to that if we have time, but...
I like the Rat Cat.
Oh, Rat Cat, that's great.
Rat.
Let's blow the roof off that.
It's the movie critics are hailing as genuinely deflating.
You might think the Newspaper Association of America would have appreciated the support, but CEO David Shavern gave Oliver a thumbs down, saying he spends most of his time making fun of publishers who are just trying to figure it out. To his credit, Washington Post editor Marty Baron, a central figure in Spotlight, said the NAA reaction couldn't be more clueless.
The media is a food chain which would fall apart without local newspapers.
Meanwhile, Oliver's HBO show got 4.5 million views, but for free on YouTube. Now, this is brilliant. This is something that we in television in particular have been talking about for decades, as long as I've been in TV news since the 70s, that we get all our news from the newspapers. You know, it's gotten better in recent years, a little better, but that is our food chain. And, you know, and the way he couched it was, I mean, it was a little bit long, it was for 19 minutes, but it was hilarious. And that spoof was one of those brilliant things I've ever seen, with all those, you know, famous actors and really good, and sort of the time. I mean, he paid a little bit of money to get that thing done.
It was wonderful. I mean, it was just terrific. I wrote about it for WGBHnews.org. There was one thing about it that, you know, he made a good point, and yet at the same time, it didn't really ring true. And that is this lamenting that readers are not paying for the news. Well, I don't pay for things when people give them to me, and I don't know anybody else who does either. I watched the segment on YouTube because HBO posted it on YouTube, and I pay for several digital...
I know, but Dan, his point is they gave that away. They gave that store away way too soon. The newspapers 20 years ago started giving their content away, and they shouldn't.
Well, I pay for 3 digital subscriptions to newspapers, but the ones that give it away for free, I don't pay.
Well, but the newspapers were always pretty heavily subsidized. I mean, subscriptions were heavily subsidized by advertising.
That's right.
And what really happened, I mean, we could talk all night and into the weekend about what is killing newspapers, but a big, huge piece of it is that the advertising model broke down, the business model broke down. If you really want to point to something, you point to Craigslist and the death of classified advertising that came from that.
That's
and so to lay it all at the feet of consumers, I agree, is not accurate.
Yeah, but what he did was brilliantly, in ways that we keep trying to say, is that there is a place where this starts. People, you know, send each other all these clips. I have a dear friend who's like telling me what's on her Facebook page, and I ask, where does it come from? I don't know. You know, somebody's work was there, and they have no clue where it is. Nobody's getting the credit for it, nor are you appreciating the level of work that it was involved to do that. I do think that there are a lot of television outlets, some right here at this station, that are doing quite original work that you can't find anywhere else, that is not, you know, just sucking off somebody else. But there is a lot of that, and it's serious. This is serious business.
I thought what I found, so the spoof there, the Stoplight, I mean, what a great name. It was sort of obvious one. But the fact that the NNA, which is the Publishers Association, not the journalist side of it, that they reacted so prickly to the whole thing, because I thought the satire was so on point, and it is I guess it was the publisher in Stoplight with the mustache and so forth who loved the rat chat or rat cat or something like that, and that really, I have to say, is where coming out of the newspaper business, so many publishers are pushing their newsrooms to go, let's follow the clicks, let's see, let's make up our front page depending on how many clicks are on the website, and
missing parrot on the front page of the Globe today was a classic example.
Yeah.
Jim Braude was arguing, oh, it's completely different from the rat cat. And I said, no, it's exactly the same.
It is the same.
parrot is missing, click, 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 you know,
Yeah.
right?
I sure read that story.
See?
But again,
Absolutely.
To Tom's point, though, if you're going to lay historic blame, again, I would put it on the publishers who were raking in so much money in the 1990s. I mean, that's when I entered the newspaper business, and it was going great for a while, so well that they just failed to anticipate or understand or expect anything to happen with the internet. They let it get away from them. It was a business
I
problem.
understand that the head of the Newspaper Association of America was recruited from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And
Let me explain it.
And the choice was not widely respected at the time that it was made, and so his public debut has not gone well.
All right.